All right, welcome. In this explainer, we're going to break down a really powerful guide for building a digital product business, and we're doing it specifically for the Turkish market. So if you've ever even thought about creating a second income stream, well, this is the practical, no-fluff blueprint you've been waiting for.
Okay, let's just jump right in with a really powerful idea that basically frames this entire strategy. As you see here, a digital product isn't the business of making files, it's the business of building trust. This is so important. It's our core theme. People don't just buy a PDF or a template. What they're really buying is a solution from someone they trust.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start by busting the biggest myths out there. Then we'll get super specific about what actually sells in the Turkish market. After that, we'll walk through how to choose that crucial first product, how to build it into a real, sustainable system, and finally, we'll tackle the biggest barrier of all, which, spoiler alert, is probably you.
First things first, let's talk about the digital product myth. See, before we can even start building a real business, we have to tear down all those romanticized ideas that so often stop people cold, right before they even get started.
This slide really lays out the critical difference. On one side, you've got the myth, right? The dream of passive income, getting rich overnight, just uploading a file and watching the money roll in. But the reality? Well, it's an active system that you have to build. It's about gradual, steady growth, all powered by what the guide calls a trust engine. Now, that system can become passive down the road, but it sure doesn't start that way.
You know, a lot of people think the big advantage is selling in dollars from Turkey because of the exchange rate. And look, that's a huge plus, no doubt about it. But the source is crystal clear here. That's just an accelerator. It's not the engine. The real engine, the thing that actually makes the business run, is a powerful combination of great content, the trust you build from it, and your channels for distribution.
And here's why this whole idea is so compelling in the first place. This table just lays it all out. The massive advantages of digital products. We're talking near zero cost to produce after you make the first one, no inventory risk, instant delivery, and scalability that's pretty much unlimited. But you'll notice there's a hidden cost that's not on this table, the time and the effort it takes to build that trust we keep talking about.
Okay, so we get the advantages, but let's get practical. What kind of digital products are people in the unique Turkish market actually buying? Let's dive into the local reality.
Now this is such a critical mindset shift. The wrong question, the one most of us start with, is all about us. What can I make? But the right question is about the customer. What problem are people in Turkey so fed up with that they are actively looking for a solution and are willing to pay for it? That little switch in perspective, it's the key to finding a winning idea.
So what do Turkish buyers really value? The source material is very specific here. They're not looking for some abstract information or a dose of inspiration. No. They want a clear, tangible benefit. They want fast, applicable results. And they want practical, step-by-step guidance. They're also pretty price-sensitive and have a high need for trust before they pull out their wallets. Long story short, they buy tools and systems, not just vague ideas.
With all that in mind, the guide actually pinpoints 5 key categories that have proven demand in the Turkish market. These are the sweet spots, the areas where people are already spending their money.
Let's run through them really quick. First up, income and career growth. Think things like amazing CV templates or guides for freelancers. Second, exam and academic support, which is a massive market in Turkey. Third, professional tools that save office workers time, like killer Excel dashboards. Fourth is small business support for all the new micro-entrepreneurs. And finally, the category that's just exploding right now, AI and prompt guides.
Okay, so we know what sells, but how in the world do you choose your first product? This is the exact spot where most people get stuck, or they make a really big mistake. So let's look at the strategy to get it right.
Here's a simple but super powerful framework. A sellable product zeroes in on a problem that makes people lose time, lose money, or feel a lot of stress. If you can find a problem that hits at least one of those, ideally more, you've got potential. And in Turkey, problems tied to time and money are especially powerful motivators.
Now, the goal here is not to create your life's masterpiece. Not yet. It's to launch what's called a minimum viable product, or an MVP, and to do it fast. This is the simplest possible version of your product that solves just one specific problem. The guide is really firm on this. Your first product should be something you can create and get out the door in under 30 days. Why? So you can test the market quickly.
So why is being so specific, so niche, so important? Because specificity builds trust. Think about it. A generic personal development guide is really hard to trust.
but a 30-day focus plan for busy professionals. Wow, that solves a very specific problem for a very specific person, which makes it feel way more credible and valuable. And it's that trust that drives the sale.
And this, right here, brings us to the absolute core of the entire strategy. A single digital file, a single download, that's not a business. If you want to create a reliable income, you've got to think bigger. You have to build a system.
I mean, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? A single product is not income. A system generates income. This is the moment you pivot from thinking like a creator who just makes a cool, one-off thing to thinking like a business owner who is building a machine that generates predictable revenue.
And here's exactly what that system looks like. It's a beautiful feedback loop. First, you create valuable content. That content establishes you as an expert and automatically attracts the right audience. As you do that consistently, that content builds trust. Once you have that trust, you've earned an audience, and you can then direct that traffic to your product. And from there, sales become the natural, logical outcome of the whole process.
And that's the whole point, isn't it? This system is the thing that transforms those unpredictable one-off sales into a reliable, predictable, and scalable second income. It's not about luck. It's about building a structure that works for you, even when you're not actively working.
So we have the strategy, we have the system, but there's one final hurdle. And honestly, it's often the highest one to jump over. The real barrier isn't technical or financial, it's psychological.
The guide identifies the single most common thought that completely stops Turkish creators dead in their tracks. Ben kimim ki satayım. It translates to, who am I to sell this? It's that nagging feeling of inadequacy, that imposter syndrome whispering that you're not enough of an expert. And just recognizing that this is a normal feeling is the first huge step to getting past it.
So how do you push through that feeling? The answer is what the guide calls mental durability. Look, forget motivation. It comes and goes. What you really need is discipline. And remember, you do not need to be the #1 expert in the world. You just need to be one step ahead of your audience and solve their specific problem really well. Treat your first product as an experiment, a test, not a masterpiece. Focus on your own progress, stop comparing yourself to others, and just accept that building the system takes time and consistency.
Let's end on this really powerful thought. Ideas, they're everywhere. Everyone has them. The real difference maker, the one ingredient that turns a great idea into a finished product that can actually change your financial life, is discipline.
You now have the complete blueprint, from busting the myths to building the right mindset. The only thing left is to actually do something. So, the final question is for you and only you. What is the first small, disciplined step you are going to take today?